Welcome gamers to Panzer Corp 2. My name is Das Tactic. Welcome to the channel and welcome to this special one-off video actually of the new Cyrenaica campaign for Panzer Corp 2, and I will explain what Cyrenaica actually is because I guess that many people won't know what that is. It's funny because for me it's actually my favourite theatre of war in World War II, so I know a fair bit about this. I've read an awful lot about it ever since I was a kid, actually. So and even recently, I was reading a book about a month ago, which I've reread a few times, all about this particular campaign, and not because of this addition to the game. I just love this theatre of war. It's sort of like chess in the desert, if you've sort of heard those sort of terms, the Western Desert War, things like this. Anyway, there's an awful lot that goes on in this theatre of war over the course of World War II. This is, of course, where Rommel is sort of, and Montgomery, the two very famous commanders from this region. But anyway, we're just going to go through what the actual DLC has got. By the way, there is a link up above, up that way, if you do want to sort of go and grab the game. And also there's a link in the description as well, where you can actually sort of be taken to grab either the base game or the DLC. I will talk a little bit about the game itself before we get started, and I'll also talk a little bit about what Cyrenaica actually is, so you at least get a bit of a feel for what we're dealing with in this particular DLC. So the base game, Panzer Corp 2, you do need the base game to be able to play the DLC. Panzer Corp 2 is an amazing game for many, many different reasons. Panzer Corp 1 was also like an absolute classic when it was out. The difference between Panzer Corp 2 and Panzer Corp 1, other than just the, not just, but other than the fact it looks so much better, but one of the big things with Panzer Corp 2 is they've actually had to build an AI that can actually play randomly and actually sort of make decisions, and this is a major undertaking for these sort of games. In Panzer Corp 1, it didn't have to turn. I'm just going to turn this off, just so we don't have to listen to it. So just pause that one there. So Panzer Corp 2 they basically had to start from scratch because they wanted to actually put the ability for the AI to make decisions. And so, as I said before, this is not something that can be done lightly, and it took a while for them to really sort of get it right. In fact, there is a way of, I don't think you can still play it this way, but there is a way of actually setting up a random map. Or there was a way of setting up a random map in the early days. I'll show you that when we get into the game. But where you could actually make a game that the AI just could not learn how to play. And I've been waiting for it to come back. Every time there's a major update to the game, I always go, I wonder if they've brought that back in. But I'll show you what that is. We won't see it, but I'll explain what it is when we get in there. But this is what I mean. Like, the game itself had to be basically built from the ground up. It wasn't just a matter of tacking things on. Now, there's also a whole lot of other mechanics in Panzer Corp 2, which in my opinion make this sort of the absolute pinnacle of any sort of game that uses a random number generator. And I'll show you that as well. For me, this is one of these things you don't even think about it in this game, where so many games that use a random number generator, you feel like you've been diddled by the actual game itself, or by the RNG god. And in this case, you just don't. And I'll show you how you can tweak that as well. So we'll sort of do all these things as we get into the game itself. At the moment, for the next week or two, Panzer Corp 2 is 50% off. The base game is 50% off. So grab it. Again, there's that link up the top there. Or actually it was up the top, but if you click on the little information, you'll get it, or in the description. Again, I don't think I mentioned it, but a special thank you to Slytherin, who are sponsoring this particular video, or this presentation of the actual game itself. So there's a lot of DLC, and you can also then you can sort of see that there's actually a whole lot of different sorts of things, where you've got the Axis Operations bundle, you've got the complete edition. This is Australian dollars, which is so it would be less for, like, it would probably be around about $100 US, I'm guessing, at 31% off through there. You can go back and get the old original Panzer Corp versus Panzer Corp 2. Personally, Panzer Corp, the first Panzer Corp was set up in almost like a puzzle situation, where you would trigger certain events when you moved across the map, which is how most of these games are done, if they don't actually have an AI that can sort of then direct them. And so the original Panzer Corp was interesting for me. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't. It didn't have without that ability for the AI to really sort of think for itself. It's sort of a bit limited. Like it was just, but basically you move to coordinates X, Y on the map, and that then triggers an event that you don't know about, that then releases some units that were hiding a bit further north or something like that. It's those sorts of events were coded in. Now, those sorts of events are still in the actual in Panzer Corp 2, but they now have the additional benefit of being able to adapt and think and sort of and move against you in sort of more surprising ways. Which, and again, I really love that they actually spent the time to do that, because they sort of almost would have gotten away without having to do that. And I know that from what I read in the original, devlogs of building Panzer Corp 2, it was a major undertaking to actually do that. So anyway, Panzer Corp 2, you can get it there for 50% off. I will just point out, this game, in recent reviews, we've got we're 90%, which is unheard of for war game type games, and then you've also then got the 84% off just over the course of time. This is a much loved game. People actually really do respond very, very positively to it. So Panzer Corp 2 at the moment is 50% off. You can get different DLC through there as well. There's a lot of it now. At time of recording, Cyrenaica has not been added into the actual mix yet. It's going to be a Frontlines Cyrenaica. Maybe by the time you see this, but at the time of recording, it's actually not. So I can sort of just go through. There's various DLCs through here. These all add mainly they mainly add campaign content, so you can sort of play different campaigns. Now, if you've watched my channel at all, and please like and subscribe if you're not, but if you're not aware of what I sort of cover, but if you sort of watch my content, I love procedural content. So for me, the random map generator in this game I just absolutely love. So it doesn't give you as good a fight or as good as experience as playing the actual curated missions, but it does it's still, I appreciate what it does do personally. I will prefer to play random maps than curated maps, but most of these will actually be sort of like curated campaigns, and I know most of the people who watch my channel actually do prefer those, because they do give you a better time with playing it, and it's a bit more like a puzzle game. And of course, that's what we're going to be looking at today. Is actually part of the Cyrenaica campaign system and the different units that it brings in, etc., etc. So anyway, that is of course Panzer Corp 2, and now we actually have the Frontlines Cyrenaica. So what's Frontlines and how does that work? There's a recent development within Panzer Corp 2 to compress the scale down into sort of very, very sort of more interesting battle scenarios rather than full campaign scenarios. Like the original game very much sort of focuses, and it's not accurate in terms of it's not like a war game where every single unit is actually is modeled to the nth degree. This is much more abstracted, and it's same with the Frontlines, but the Frontlines, the scale of the operation is smaller and tighter. I prefer that, to be honest. I actually like the idea of that. The units are not, it's not historically accurate, as I said before, to a high degree, but it is for a game abstraction. It's fun, and I'll go through the things that aren't quite realistic when we get into the, because I do know a fair bit about this campaign, or I like to think I do anyway. I'm probably going to be, if I've got things wrong, please leave notes in the comments, because I do actually appreciate it, and I do actually enjoy being chastised and corrected when I do actually sort of say things that aren't historically accurate, but I'll do my best anyway. And I'm sort of relying on my very, very sketchy memory. I always sort of say that I've got like a goldfish memory. I'm sort of I'm good as soon as I sort of play something or learn something, but give me a day or two after that and I'll completely forget everything. Anyway, a Frontlines Cyrenaica. Frontlines means essentially a smaller scale operation. Won't really change the way the base game is played. It just means that the maps are more compressed and more cozy, more comfortable, in my opinion anyway. I do like this sort of scale. Anyway, we've got the so this does require Panzer Corp 2. It is just releasing at the time I'm recording this, so it's just coming out right now. And again, for 2 weeks at time of recording, it's 10% off. So now is the time to grab this one as well if you do like it. This is the second of the Frontlines series. There was the Battle of the Bulge as well, which and these also allow the developer to introduce sort of unusual units or unusual terrain, things like that, which is very, very cool. So about this content, experience a crucial North Africa campaign like never before. I will show you this, actually. I'll go through how this one does work. Like Cyrenaica is probably not a word that many people have actually familiar with in terms of World War II. And so hopefully I'll be able to explain exactly what this is focusing on. So it covers the battle of Operation E, which is the invasion of Egypt by the Italian forces, and Operation Compass, which is the counterattack by the British forces. This DLC immerses you in the iconic struggles for control over Cyrenaica. And Cyrenaica is just this little bubble. I'll show you this in another map. This is just this little bubble here, essentially, which is where so much of the fighting took place. If we have a bit of a look at the actual, I'll show you this on another map. But anyway, there's that little bubble is Cyrenaica, which is part of Libya. And one of the interesting things with this one is you've got two campaigns, two perspectives. So command both sides of the conflict with two distinctive campaigns. They haven't done this before. They've sort of really just done it from one side or the other. So really the Italians' illusion of glory and their chaotic retreat, or lead the British forces in one of the most brilliantly executed counteroffensives in history. And it really is. Like, if you ever read about it, it's incredible. Like, that's why I love reading about this particular whole campaign. Like, from this is prior to when Rommel steps into the picture, but even the lead up to when Rommel steps in, and then afterwards, and just the back and forwards, very, very, very interesting if you are into any sort of military history. Each scenario is playable from both perspectives, offering twice the content and endless strategic variety. So this is actually what they haven't done before. What they've done is they've actually had campaigns that are very specific to the force that you are playing. In this case, what they've done is they've actually built a campaign system where you can play from either side, which is very interesting. I haven't seen that before with this game. Master Desert Battlefield, so battle through Cyrenaicia's harsh deserts under the intense conditions of sandstorms and scorching heat. Navigate unforgiving terrain, manage your supplies carefully, and utilise your surroundings to outmaneuver the enemy. And they've looking at the initial map, I'm actually quite impressed just with the way that they sort of tackled it. Having read a lot about the various wadis and the various escarpments and things that were such a feature of this theatre of war. It is interesting to sort of see that one. Iconic units and real heroes. So deploy new historically accurate units such as the Italian Moser Guzzi Trialci motorcycle and the British Gloucester Gladiator biplane. Use the unique. So these were early war things, by the way. We're talking 1940, just after the fall of France. So use the unique abilities for real-life generals to overcome challenges and tilt the scales of war in your favour. Innovative gameplay mechanics, so manage diminishing core slots as campaigns progress, making every unit placement count. I love this as well. I'll show you this when we get into the game. Engage in diverse missions, complete bonus objectives, and experience the ripple effects of your decisions across scenarios. With the AI that tends to adapt to your performances. I said that before. This is what I love about what they've done with the game. And dynamic missions, the gameplay remains fresh and challenging. And so, again, this is sort of... I'm so thankful that they actually spent the time when they developed Panzer Corp 2. And I know it was very difficult, as I said before, for them to do it, but we now have an absolute work of art that we can enjoy with this dynamic aspect to it, which the original game just didn't have. It couldn't have because it wasn't coded that way. Prepare for a tactical journey into the heart of the North African campaign, where every decision shapes the outcome of Panzer Corp 2 Frontlines Cyrenaica. The key features: 2 campaigns in one. Play as both Italian and British forces across 2 unique campaigns. New Italian units deploy the motorcycle corps. We've got the LCRE del Cielo paratroopers and versatile artillery. The Italian artillery was extremely high regarded in the throughout the war. Actually, they had amongst the best, I think, of the artillery anywhere. And I know that from the British perspective, they really tried to capture as much of that as they could because it was just so good. New British units, so command iconic use such as the Gloucester Gladiator biplane and the Rolls-Royce armoured car. I'll talk about this when we get into the game, but the Rolls-Royce armoured car was a major feature of the Western Desert War in the early stages. This was actually the 11th Hussars were the ones that were sort of really looking after, they were the main ones looking after the border. The 11th Hussars, if that name does ring a bell, was a cavalry unit back from I think they formed in the 1800s, like in the early 1800s. They were the Light Brigade from the charge of the Light Brigade in the Crimea, so in the Crimea War. They ended up basically being an armoured car unit that were then they were then stationed along the border of Libya and Egypt back at the start of World War II, and so they actually did a lot of things actually before war even started. They were really going deep into Libyan and Italian territory to sort of try to find things out. But I thought that might be interesting. That was also they were the famous old cherry pickers from if you've ever read any of the Flashman books. That was also his actual unit. From back in they're really funny sort of. I guess sort of they're history books, but done from a perspective of a bit of a rogue. And so anyway, that's the group that are using the Rolls-Royce armoured cars. There is actually one that's not actually mentioned here. I don't think I haven't read this before I started to do this one, but there is also the Long Range Desert Group. The Long Range Desert Group was actually a force that ultimately ends up becoming the very famous SAS. So but they started off as a collection of people in Cairo, like as in sort of soldiers in Cairo, that decided that they want to do something a little bit more special, and so they made these special groups where they would actually sort of get like these vehicles. They'd sort of deck them out for extremely long range desert reconnaissance, and essentially they would do these little sort of special operations, and that's also modelled in the game, by the way. So it's very cool what they've done. Again, if you enjoy that theatre of war, I think you're going to enjoy this particular DLC. Dynamic gameplay: conquer, defend, hold and escape through missions with diverse objectives and mechanics. Desert sandstorms, so adapt to challenging weather conditions that alter tactics and visibility. This will be new, just particular to this particular DLC. I wish that they would bring these things into the random map generator, to be honest, but I think that might maybe just a little bit too hard. Core slot reduction, manage dwindling unit slots for increased tension and strategic depth. This is unit slots we'll talk about when we get into the game. These are very important that you make the right pick with these when you are playing. Hero-based gameplay, so leverage the skills of historical generals to turn the tide of battle. And we'll show you that in game as well. Bonus missions: escape with key units, recover lost soldiers, or destroy supply depots for unique rewards. This was finding supply depots, and again, the Long Range Desert Group was one of the groups that would actually go and do this a lot. They would go deep behind enemy lines and blow up supply depots. This is, again, the precursor to the SAS, but this is sort of like where they started. And so we have these sorts of things modelled as well. Scenario consequences: actions in one mission carry over to the next, impacting rewards and opportunities, which is interesting. And so multiple factions, so command forces from the British, Free French, Indian and Australian armies. So there's a whole lot of different things in through here as well. It doesn't mention the Italians. Oh, here we go. We've got the Italian forces. So we've got the versatile motorcycle designed for quick manoeuvres. The M11, reliable medium tank with distinctive silhouette. The M13, an improved medium tank known for its mobility and firepower. I don't know if that's true, like, to be honest. I think, well, they have to model it in the game to give it balance, but these I don't think were very well. I think that from what I've read, these were a little bit like, they weren't the best tanks. They were okay before they had like anti-tank guns around, but they weren't really good for the soldiers that were actually in them. The Black Devils, elite paratroopers, recognised for their bravery and skill, and the Fiat Falco, a nimble biplane fighter that saw extensive action in the desert. The British forces, we've got the Morris CS9, a well-armoured scout car, perfect for reconnaissance for missions. The Rolls-Royce armoured car, robust vehicle designed for both mobility and firepower. Now, the Rolls-Royce armoured car was actually a car, I think, from the early 1930s. So had been around for an awfully long time. It was an old car, but extremely reliable, and so with the Rolls-Royce engine in it. Matilda 2, a heavy armoured infantry tank, renowned for its resilience. This was a bit of a game changer in the Desert War. This allowed the British to sort of do so much with their counterattack. Cruiser tanks as well, a series of fast and agile tanks, each improving on its predecessor, and then the Gloucester Gladiator, a legendary biplane that exemplifies British aerial prowess. Scenarios list, we've got in all sorts of different things in through here. So the initial invasion of Egypt, Halfaya Pass, road to Sidi Barrani. So these are different things we'll sort of see as we come through. And then we've got the British Forces campaign Solemn, holding Halfaya, retreat to Sidi Barrani, etc., etc., then through the capture of Tobruk, essentially, and then the pursuit to Benghazi, and then the siege of Jirabab at the back end here, just before Rommel enters the war. So this is actually, this shows us that we're not actually going to have, this is the oasis there as well, the Jirabab oasis. So we're not going to be seeing Rommel, I don't think, unless they bring it in at the very, very end of these campaigns, because at that stage it's when the Germans then stepped in to sort of help out. But let's have a look at a map, so I can sort of show you where all these things do actually take place. So this is that little bubble in Libya that sort of comes out. Tripoli is sort of back over on the left, for example. Cairo is off on the right, and so it's quite a tight little area of North Africa. But so much happens in this very, very small area like this campaign. There's so much to and fro that goes over the course of the the three years of the actual Western Desert campaign. So essentially what we do is we start off, the border actually runs through Fort Capuzzo is on the Libyan side, Solemn is on the Egyptian side, and it then sort of works its way through down this particular line where the Fort Madalena and these sorts of areas are all in Libya. So these are on the Italian side of the equation at the start of the war. When war is declared, and it takes them some months to sort of really get organised enough to then sort of invade Egypt. This is the Italians. So there's a lot of this is where the 11th Hussars then do a lot of work, just sort of moving in and seeing what they can sort of do in around this particular region. The 11th Hussars, I'm pretty sure it's the 11th Hussars, there was also Royal Tank Regiments and things like that as well, but they end up capturing Fort Capuzzo, which we'll see in this first map that we're going to be playing. And so they end up capturing a few of these areas. Fort Madalena, I don't know if Fort Madalena holds on, I can't remember the exact area through there. But the Long Range Desert Group would actually be operating again from Cairo, which is sort of off the map, and they would then sort of make their way through the desert essentially and raid things like the Jirabab oases. So we've got a couple of oases through there. In terms of the of why this is just such a fascinating field, like a battlefield, is that you've got the big feature that sort of almost forms the big bubble of Cyrenaica is the Jebel Akhdar, which is some very, very big mountains. And so these are extremely defendable for infantry to be able to sort of then stay in these particular mountains. But the trouble with it is that you've got this sort of like this rocky desert that sort of runs in below it, and then sort of extends down into these other plains towards Al Agilia, and then that's the main road that then goes back to Tripoli. And so most of the forces that came from either Germany or Italy would come along this road here and to Agadabia. And so this is essentially El Gilia, and this one falls to the British ultimately, and this one stays in Italian and then German hands. And so the last oasis is sort of like in here somewhere, and this is actually where Rommel then kicks off. But what would happen is, even though this is very defendable in through here, it could be bypassed by armoured units running through this portion of the map, through the middle of the of Cyrenaica back and through there. I think you can see my mouse sort of moving through. And so this would actually this then really did form this, so that the Jebel Akhdar was never really a major feature. But a big thing with the game was the ports. You had to sort of get supply. So supply was a major focus, and so Benghazi was the major Italian port, and then you had Tobruk as well, which was also a major Italian port, which became a major British port port in the actual war itself. So these were sort of major ports. City Barani and Matra, these weren't ports as such, but these were the main focuses. The Italian focus initially was to essentially bring their forces from this side of the border, and their initial objective was to get to Martin Bargush and Mersa Matra, back and through here. This was actually where they were aiming for. The idea from like the El Duce was to actually continue on and completely take over Egypt and take the oil fields, but the limited, like the forces really weren't able to do much more than essentially just establish outposts in these particular regions. So where we're going to be starting is Halfaya Pass in through here, which is sort of like the entry down into the coastal plain from Libya. So from Libya down into Egypt, and we'll see this when we get into the actual map. Other little features that are worth sort of pointing out is you've got the Libyan Sand Sea. So the dunes are actually down to the south. They're not actually a feature. Even though it shows it in the game, they're actually not a feature of the game, of the actual battlefields themselves. It was a rocky desert, and the reason I know about that is because I actually come from a region which is very, very similar, where it was just the sand is compacted down underneath a whole lot of little rocks, and they're difficult to maneuver across. They do actually have the Quattara Depression as well, which is sort of like a big cliffs that then lead into another sand sea down below. And this then, like further to the east, is actually where, El Alamein is. So the battles of El Alamein ultimately end up getting fought where the Quattara Depression is sort of like the limiting factor. So you end up with these choke points. A choke point here, essentially a bit of a choke point over here because of the lack of supply to the south. But it was a fascinating theatre of war. Anyway, I'm not going to keep on talking about the theatre. We're here to talk about the game. So let's get into the actual game itself, and I'll open it back up. I won't spend too much time with Panzer Corp 2 itself. I'll spend more time with Cyrenaica, which you can see at the top of the list there on the side. But I will just go through like some of the little things that I love about this game. And so one of the things, of course, is new game and then random scenario. I love this aspect. When you come in, and this is what I was going to talk about, where they weren't able to really sort of cement like one aspect of what they had started off originally sort of building with the actual maps. And so we've actually got less map types now than when they were first developing the game. And if I go back into here, what you've got is you've got continent, coast, big island, big lake, and lakeland. And so the feature of this is that you do actually have naval and air and land units essentially. But the trouble is that all of these are fine, except that the AI, it was difficult to get the AI to be able to learn to island hop. And there wasn't another opposite version of Lakeland, which was islands, which I was interested in. But the AI just could not get the island hopping idea. And I don't know if it will come. I'm hoping it will, like when they sort of really start to tackle the Pacific. I'm guessing that will be when that one might come back. But that was so there was actually 6 map variants for the random map generator originally, and then before launch, it was actually then, or before the launch of the, I think even before into early access, they had to get rid of it because it was a non-event in terms of what the AI could do. But I do appreciate what they did with the AI. As I say, it's pretty cool the way it sort of does work. All right, let's go back to the menu, and we'll actually play, of course, Cyrenaica. Now, so to do this one through here, you do have like multiplayer ways of playing the game. It's a very gamey game in terms of it doesn't try to accurately model too much, and it's abstracted in a game sort of perspective. So if you're looking for historical accuracy, there are war games that will actually sort of provide that for you. But if you are just looking for a bit of fun, where you're using game mechanics to do different things in a much more free way, then this game is perfect. So let's go through. You do have mods as well available. I won't go through all these other different things. I don't know what other is actually. Oh, it's a manual, forum, yep, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. But we're going to go to new game, and we're going to go to campaign, because that's where we're going to be starting. So with the campaigns, there's a number of different campaigns that have been brought into the game itself. You can sort of see there that we've got the Wehrmacht campaigns, which like Poland, Barbarossa, North Africa. It does actually have like a series of campaigns through there as well, not part of this DLC. Kursk, Italy, then we've got Cyrenaica, which is the Frontlines. Again, Frontlines are the more condensed and compressed, tighter battle system that they've got. And again, I prefer that more so than the actual, than the broad. I don't know if North Africa is going to sort of show us. Well, this is sort of showing here essentially from Cairo over here, the Qattara Depression back in through there, and then this is Cyrenaica back in through this other side, and Tripoli back over this other up in here. So that's essentially what we're looking at through here, rather than the full blown campaign. So Cyrenaica, when we have a bit of a tighter look, we can then sort of see that this is actually, it's then showing it through here. And initially, it's going to be the thrust of the Italians moving into this position, and then the counter attack of the British. So we've got that one through there, and again, smaller, tighter battlefields than what you would normally sort of see in Panzer Corp 2. Again, I do like it. Fall of Poland is another sort of style of gameplay that they actually have as well. So they're making more intimate ways of actually playing the game, and again, I do applaud that. I do appreciate these sorts of battlefields. Anyway, let's just ramp it up to say general, where we end up losing like 30% prestige. That may be dangerous, but we'll give it a bit of a go. I don't know if you can see it. I'm just in the way there a little bit, but anyway, that's I'm just going to make it into like sort of like the general difficulty. There is actually Colonel, so you've got essentially you've got Major. You end up with extra turns. The default is Colonel, so default difficulty level without any changes to the base game. A good starting point for most fans of wargaming genre. I'm tempted to play that, but I'll go to General, so slightly more challenging level intended for veterans of Panzer Corp series who have just started their career in Panzer Corp 2. And I think that's about my level. We do have Field Marshal as well, where you lose 60%. I'm just in the way there, so I'll just move out of the way. Harder level, where you will challenge most players. So yeah, this one is they get extra accuracy, and then finally we've got Generalissimus. Only the best will beat this level. Negative 80% prestige. I'll tell you what all this is when we get into the actual game itself. Plus 20% base accuracy to the enemy. There we are. Right, so it's taken me a long time to just get to this point where we're just going to be starting the actual game itself. We're going to now click on Advanced Options. So we're not going to get into the game just yet. The advanced options give us a range of different things we can do. Now, this is what I was talking about at the start, about the one little feature of this whole series that I find incredibly good. This is combat randomness. And so combat randomness, by using this slider, you can adjust the combat randomness to your taste. 100% real result determined by the game's combat rules and formulas. 0% combat result is always as predicted. And so what you have is you've got like a range of damage that can occur based on random number generators and also the fighting power of the actual unit. So there's sort of like a level of what may happen. By having this slider, and by default it's set to 50-50. And so what this one will do is still actually, it'll give you like a baseline attack, but we'll throw a little bit of random number generator into it. Now, if you don't like random number generators at all, it means that you would actually go down to 0%. So you take it down to there, and it will always provide you the damage that is dealt based on the rules within the game. Or if you go the other way, you'll have the full gamut. It's not going to always be completely random in terms of wildly varying attacks against sort of like, from weak units against strong units. What this will then go and do is actually just within the rules system that it has, it will then generate a random number using that. But I think 50-50 is good. I've been tempted to just tighten this up even a bit more, like to maybe sort of like 35 or 30%, but I think I'll just keep it on 50-50. That is the default. But this is, so many other games could benefit from this very simple system. It does such a good job of not letting the RNG, or the random number generator, feel like it's sort of ruining your game. It can still impact, but it doesn't impact anywhere near as strongly as if it was set to 100%. Now, I know some people probably enjoy 100%. I don't know if anyone does play on that one. If you're one of the few, I'll say few, if you're one of the few that do actually set it to 100, I'd be interested to know. And also, similarly, if you're someone who does actually switch it down to 0, because I think, yeah, like zero. There's no RNG involved in the actual combat, and it just comes down purely just strategy. Undo move. So any action, we'll have this one through here. You do actually have different settings in through here as well. We'll go with we'll allow these, but only 3 per turn. So if we make a mistake, we'll have 3 undos. It doesn't work if you expose something you shouldn't have seen, though. So if you actually sort of move a unit and think, oh, there's a unit I wasn't expecting to see, too late. It's sort of basically you can't sort of do that one through there. I think it says that there. No, yeah, so note the undo was always available during deployment phase. Yeah, that's okay. So we can keep on undoing different things we set up in deployment. Commander trait points. Now this is actually, we have a general that we actually, who was us, and we can bring different trait points into that, and we'll go through that in detail. By the way, this is going to be a long video, by the way. I'm not going to be making this within half an hour. In fact, I'm already over half an hour. So this is going to be, it's going to take as long as it's going to take. So settle in. I'll try to remember to put an index down below of where different things are that we're talking about. Weather system as well, like you can actually have weather. If checked, if weather would change in the course of the mission. And so for us, this will actually be important for sandstorms. So I'm going to keep that on, of course. Supply, very important in the Desert War. So I've checked units that will consume fuel and ammo when moving or fighting and will require supply. I love this in these sorts of games, to be honest. It's something that I do enjoy. I know a lot of people don't. From other games that I do play, I know that it's something that people tended to like to move things around, but particularly for the Desert War, it was actually such an important feature. Fog of War, I'll keep that on as well. Shroud is actually, if checked at the beginning of the mission, the map will be covered by a shroud hiding both units and terrain. As you scout the map, shroud will gradually be removed. Now, that's not really realistic, but you can play that way if you like. Custom army, you can actually have, if checked, you'll be able to purchase and deploy your own custom army at the beginning of the game instead of the predefined starting force. I'll keep that off. It sort of can be interesting, I guess, just to sort of play and tweak things, but we're not going to have much we can do different anyway than what the actual scenario does provide us with. Heroes I'll leave on, so if checked, various heroes will join the army in the course of the game. Each hero can be assigned to a unit of your choice to improve its stats or give it some new abilities. The hero chance, I'll leave that at 100%. Again, it's just nicely laid out. There's all these special challenges, which I'm not going to bother putting these down. So we've got the Heroic Showdown. At the beginning of the battle, each enemy unit on the map is assigned one or more random heroes. I won't bother with that one. Heroic Showdown count. So how many heroes each enemy will get. Yeah, we won't worry about that one as well. I think I'll just leave all these things, but they keep on adding all these little features to the game as well over time. So we're just going to click on play at this point. So we've now got Cyrenaica, all the other stuff above it, and play. It's behind my chair. I'm not going to be able to move out of the way. Here we go. Now we can either play from the Italian side or from the British side. I'm going to play from the British side. I think there's already been some content put out by the Historical Gamer, I think from the Italian side, so I'll sort of take this from the other side and sort of and operate from the other from this way. This is also from what I have read. I have read more from the British perspective, like from the histories and things. So so in this case, the choice we have is either to command the Italian forces as they launch the ambitious Operation E, or take control of the British Army in the daring Operation Compass. The fate of North Africa is in your hands. Now, initially, as it sort of said, we're not playing Operation Compass. Operation Compass was at the end of Operation E. So Operation E took place, which we are going to be fighting as we play through. Choose your side and shape the course of the campaign. So if I chose Operation E, we would then be going through the initial attack into Egypt. But by playing Operation Compass, we're really just picking the Allied side of Operation E as when it first comes in. So we'll go and accept this. So after months of rumours and speculation, Italy decides to become heavily involved in World War II by invading Egypt, which is under British control. The Italian plan of attack includes a rapid advance to catch the British by surprise, with the first stop being the city of Sollum. From there, they aim to establish a bridgehead in the region. Now, Sollum was not really their first objective. Their first objective was Martin Bagush, I think it was the furthest objective. and so that was further down the coast. We don't get to see that. There'll be information in here which will be for the game rather than the actual objective. It was also not a it was not a rapid advance. It was actually a fairly slow moving advance. It had a lot of infantry that they sort of brought down into the coastal plain. Anyway, let's proceed. Now, initially, when we first come in, we need to set up our general, who we're going to be. This can have a major impact on the way that the battles will then progress. And so you've got to pick strengths. Now, we've got 2 points. It says 2 selections, but it's two selection points is what we actually have down the bottom through here. We have negative ones over here, which will give us extra bonuses. So again, be careful with what you pick. By the way, I would never ever ever suggest clicking randomize, because it's going to give you all sorts of really terrible negatives, and it's going to make it. I wish that they would actually really tone this down so that it maybe only gave you 1 negative and less positives. What it does is it sort of picks randomly from all the negatives, which gives you extra points, and then picks from the positives. In a lot of cases, the negatives actually really do damage things a lot more than the positives give you benefits for. So if we have a look at some of these and just sort of try to pick some that would actually be things that we could then sort of make good use of. Inept logistics, we end up with minus 10% core slots. That would be very dangerous for us to play with that. No overstrength, cannot give overstrength to units. This one gives us 2 back. I very rarely use overstrength anyway. That's tempting for me, but I'm not going to pick it. Denied Air Force, so cannot purchase air units. That's terrible. Denied Artillery, that's terrible. Green Army, elite replacements are limited to 3 times per mission. That's terrible. A delayed reinforcement, so cannot use replacements in the middle of the battle. So that's also very, very difficult to play with. Poor maintenance. Due to breakdowns, units randomly lose move points and attack actions, so you can't plan ahead, which is not good. Poor ground control, so enemy units can freely move through zones of control. The zones of control are critical, so these are terrible things to sort of go and just add in. Bad luck, combat results will never be better than predicted. No, I'm not going to do that one. Trench slog. This is each attack deals 1 point less damage to enemy's entrenchment. If we have to dislodge units, now initially that's going to be okay for this first battle, but then we've stuck with our commander for the rest of the campaign, so I don't want that either. Slow modernisation, can upgrade no more than 3 units per mission, so transport upgrades, I won't choose that either. Fear of the unknown, so cannot order units to move through the fog of war. This means you must use armoured cars to play. Again, I'm not going to do that one. Arrogant, does not get any combat predictions. No, I think we need to see that one. Forced dispersion, so you can assign maximum of 1 hero per unit. That's worth 2 points. I'm actually tempted to grab that one because I don't think I would actually ever put more than 1 hero in a unit anyway. Let's grab that. That gives us 4 selections, so we've got a bit more now to play with. Ruthless, so never accept surrender, and slow reaction. So friendly units do not shoot back when attacked by the enemy. Again, most of these are terrible. I'm just wondering why we get 2 points for this one. It seems like such a no-brainer to grab this one. Can assign maximum 1 hero per unit. And back on the other side, we then have other things we can do as well. Now, the infantry general, so all infantry units cost 25% less slots. This is critical. Start by playing the game. Evaluate the units that you've actually got to look at, and then figure out whether you want either one of these. In our case, this is actually a good one. I'm going to pick that one, and I'll show you when we get in, because I know that this is 25% less slots. We need to have a slot count of at least 4 to make this viable. And so, and if we do actually have strong units that we're looking for that have at least 4 slots that they take up, this will then make them 3 slots. So, but if there's 3 slots, it won't mean that they're 2 slots. They'll remain as 3. So this then makes their 4 slot units only worth 3 slots. So I'm going to grab that one because that's going to be valuable. Panzer General is the same thing for tank units. In this instance, our tanks are quite weak, and we don't actually have any 4 slot tank units. We do with infantry, but not with tanks. So so that's actually not going to be something that's going to be of use to us. We've still got 2 selections. I won't go through what all of these different things actually are, but some of these are very, very useful. Like they can really add a lot to the game. The killer team through here, so starts the game with 3 additional heroes. This will give our base units a bit more diversity with what they can then go and do. So I'm thinking we go and grab that one through there. We've got perimeter control. For any unit in a hex cancels enemy zone of control in that hex. Gee, that would be useful as well. God, there's some good stuff in here. It's very hard to... for any units get a +1 base entrenchment in any terrain, even in open... I might actually... Just so we only are dealing with the actual heroes. If we go with the killer team, we end up with 3 additional heroes at the start of the game. Let's not do that. Let's just go and play with, say, terrain expert, so we get extra entrenchment. But maybe we go with perimeter control here as well. Got old guard. What does this one do? At the end of each mission, all dead units are reformed with 1 point near. Won't worry about that one. Forced concentration. Can assign 1 extra hero unit to all. Even with forced dispersion, it still would allow us to grab that one. Perimeter control. God, I'm tempted to go back and get killer team. Friendly units in a hex cancels enemy zone of control in that hex. It sort of allows us to bypass. I think I'll go back to... No, I will grab that one. So we'll just do that one through there. So we've got infantry general, perimeter control, and terrain expert. So that'll be this will then allow us to be a bit more manoeuvrable. With forced dispersion, you can only assign 1 hero per unit, which gives us 2 points. I think they're an easy 2 points. We'll accept that and then move into the actual game itself. So we then actually have our briefing. So this is from Solemn. And so this is actually General Wavell. And Wavell he wasn't at Solemn, actually. He was in Cairo. And he was the, I don't know if it tells us, it says Solemn, Egypt, the 13th of September, 1940. I don't think he ever operated from forward bases like this. So, and just to give a little bit of historical perspective about General Wavell, he wasn't just in charge of Egypt. He was in charge, at this stage of the war, in charge of pretty much the whole of India. He was really fighting on two areas. Ultimately, it ends up being part of the Pacific as well. They do then divide it down and actually have someone just in charge purely of the Western Desert campaign. But he was in charge of right up through the Middle East. He had a massive area under his control. I think even things like the islands, like the Crete and things like this, were all under his area of control, not control or command, but essentially, that was his area of interest, which is extremely broad. So, good morning, Commander. Time is short, so I'll spare you the formalities. The Italians have made their move, crossing into Egypt as of this morning. Now, the war had been going on for quite some time. They'd even been at war with Italy for quite some time at this point in time. So, and it was now the Italians made their move. And El Duce, Mussolini, was actually pushing all the time for the Italians to go forward. But the command in Libya just really, they didn't feel that they were ready to do it. They felt they were underprepared. And so ultimately they sort of did it, but they didn't do it with any, they did the minimum that they had to do. Just because they were being pushed along when they weren't ready to do it. Okay, then we have the next step. So their plan is as bold as it is predictable. March along the coast, seize our settlements and push through to the heart of Egypt. This is actually, when we're looking at the map before, this is where it goes to Martin Bagush, which is along the coastal plain, then through El Alamein, and then through into Cairo. That was actually their objective. Mussolini is counting a quick and tidy victory, but we'll see about that. At this time, the British forces had better equipment, and better trained units, but much lower in manpower. So they were like the Italians had a lot more manpower. Okay, we'll give them a proper fight, no mistake. So Musaid has woken up to the sound of heavy Italian bombardment this morning. So this is Musaid back and through here. I don't know about Musaid. I haven't ever heard about this one. I'm guessing it's an actual real place, but we'll talk about what's actually going to happen through here. So there's heavy Italian bombardment at the moment. We should strike back with our aircraft and artillery, but the blasted dust being kicked up is making it difficult to get a clear shot. And so high alert dispatches have already gone out along the Libyan border. Chaps are on standby, itching to give the Italians a run for their money once they've got a clear target in their sights. Now, it was more of a contained, like in reality, the history was not a stand and fight back type exercise. It was more of a controlled retreat from the British side. They knew they couldn't compete with what the Italians were bringing down in reality. But this is a game, so in a game we have to have a bit more things a bit more even. The briefing will now be handed to General O'Connor, who will provide all operational details. Good luck. And so this is General O'Connor, and so General O'Connor is pretty much the operational commander in charge of what ultimately ends up being Operation Compass. He was very, very much in the mould of Rommel in terms of what he did. He was a frontline general. He would he would go out with the armoured cars. He would do all sorts of crazy things, and he had a lot of very, very close calls, as Rommel did as well, like where he was almost captured. And in the end, essentially, anyway, you can read all about it. But he is an amazing commander in terms of like commanders of World War II. You probably haven't heard of him if you're sort of not really familiar with the Western Desert, but the things he did, even when they started Operation Compass, it was supposed to be limited. It was not really supposed to go and take over the whole of Cyrenaica, which is what he ultimately ended up doing. Like with what he ended up doing, it was supposed to be a limited fight back, just to push the Italians back a little bit. But when he found areas that were open to him, and he charged into them. So incredible story about General O'Connor. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Let's just get into it. So thank you, General Wavell. We are operational in the field and ready to face the invasion. Let's get to the tactical briefing. So your orders are simple. Hold and defend all the key British settlements in the region. So we do actually, at this stage, we have an outpost. This is all on the Libyan side, by the way. We have Fort Capuzzo, which was taken by the 11th. I'm pretty sure it was 11th Hussars that did actually take that. I'm sure that if it wasn't, there'll be people in the comments saying, no, it wasn't. It was the Royal Tank Regiment, whatever it was. And again, I don't know where Moussaid is. I can't remember reading about that ever. So hold the line and defend all the key British settlements in the region. Now, the key British settlements are Sollum, which is just behind over here, and Fort Capuzzo. In reality, they didn't bother holding Fort Capuzzo. It was too difficult, so they went back. And even Sollum, they actually they had a masking force in through there. Okay, then with the order simple, hold the line and defend all the key British settlements in the region. So primary objectives: control Fort Capuzzo and hold Sollum. So we do need to try to sort of delay. So we're doing more of a delaying action in this particular mission. So if we had to hazard a guess about the enemy strategy, it's likely that they're aiming to advance along the coastal route. So they're going to be coming from Bardia. Bardia is sort of like another port, a smaller port, just off to sort of on the other side of the border. Wasn't ever an important port, which I never really understood, having read all the histories and things. But Tobruk was the main port. It was mainly used by the Allies, but Bardia was a port as well. So if we has a guess about the enemy strategy, it's like they're aiming to advance along the coastal route. It's likely they will send detachments from their base at Bardia. However, there are a few other matters to consider. Moussaid is already feeling the heat and won't be able to withstand a major attack. If that happens, it would be wise to hold out just long enough to pull back and regroup around Sollum. Stiff upper lip and all that, but we need to be practical. So our latest air reconnaissance report shows scattered Italian detachments wandering about in the western open desert. And that's talking about down through here. I'll talk a little bit about what this means. There was actually an armoured force, I think it was the Maletti group, at this stage that was coming up from the oases. And so they were attacking from the south when they were coming back up along this road. The road isn't shown here, but Fort Capuzzo actually had a road that continued on down to the south. It didn't just sort of immediately go across the border like this. So anyway, we'll go back through. If you try to catch them out in the open and manage to destroy them, it will prevent them from joining the main attack. So we will have to just go and check that out as well. So bonus objective, hold Musaid until turn 12, and we get a bonus hero if we can do that one. So we will try to do this. Spot and destroy Italian units dispersed in the desert, so gain 250 prestige for each destroyed unit. Prestige is the money in the game. That's how you get new units, etc., etc. So now about the defence. This is the border line between Libya and Egypt. It's showing the border line here with Fort Capuzzo on the wrong side. In reality, Fort Capuzzo was an important fort that was like a three-way junction. It did sort of have the road continued north-south, and then there was the connection that took you across into Halfaya Pass, essentially. So that was what Fort Capuzzo was, not the way it's been shown here. So again, it's a game. it's not reality. But Fort Capuzzo was an important outpost for the Italians. Particularly before the war started. So even though the British had taken it by this stage, it was more of a raid that had ended up taking it, not actually a full-blown invasion or anything like this. And again, it was mainly, as I say, I'm pretty sure it was only armoured cars that had really taken this one up. So this is the borderline between Libya and Egypt. So our outposts in Libya aren't exactly bristling with reinforcements, and will be vulnerable to a large-scale assault. So they will come. The main assault did come from the road from Bardia. So this is actually where they came from, and this area through the desert here is also then open, and this is from Tobruk and from then Tripoli, and this is their main reinforcements come along this road essentially historically. However, we can rely on well-placed artillery and air support to slow their advance. This is actually historically what did happen. What happened here is that the British essentially shelled the Italians as they walked down through the pass. The pass, you can see there that the cliffs are on it's sort of showing that these were heights. They were heights, but this was the pass down to Sollum. This is Halfaya Pass, which I'm not sure what the second map's going to be interesting for me when we get past this, because it was sort of the opposite way around in reality. Like Halfaya Pass had cliffs sort of leading along it on both sides, and then the escarpment then continued after that, which sort of was like a very, very clear divide between the coastal plains and then the upper desert plains, which was where Fort Capuzzo was. However, we can rely on well-placed artillery and air support to slow their advance, which was historically what actually did happen. Should the border be breached, the final stand will be at Sollum. And that, again, they didn't try to hold Sollum. All they tried to do was just slow the advance. They knew the advance was coming, and so it was not a hold on. So in this scenario, we're actually playing ahistorically. From what I've read anyway. To defend the city, we should take advantage of these elevations to control the major roads and limit the transit of armoured vehicles. So we'll play it as a game. We won't play it as the historical aspect of it. Italian air support is limited for now, at least until they manage to take Musaid Airport, so we will have to try to hold that one. Plan your deployments carefully and don't let them catch you snapping. Okay, you have orders. Now let's give those Italians a good thrashing and throw them a bit of British grit, hey? A spot of dust won't be enough to break our lines. Dismissed. And so that ends our briefing. So I'll just end up that one through there. Now we do end up getting a few sort of random heroes that then do come through. So this is Raymond Harper. So we've got so he's got an overrun ability, so can destroy overrun weakened enemy units without spending move or attack actions. The way it works is after an overrun attack, move and attack actions for the unit will be replenished. And so this is something we can, if we can put him into a tank, it's going to be ideal. So that's actually good for him. Then we've got the next one as well is Harry Reynolds is famous. In this case, generates 20 prestige per turn. That's useful. We don't want him in a position where he's not going to be good in battle, but he's going to give us a little bit more income all the time. It's not great, but it's okay. So they're the two heroes that we actually have. So we need to then go and place them with our units. This is like an overmap. You can sort of see down the bottom here. I think I'm sort of off to the side enough that will still work out all right. I think I'm in a good position there. Okay, so I've just moved myself over slightly, just so you can see the full map of what we're sort of dealing with. And so again, on that major map, we're talking about a tiny little section just off to the side there. And this was historically Halfaya Pass back in through this other side. Let's have a look at the, well, I'll go through, I'll treat this as if you haven't played Panzer Corp 2 before, and maybe you're sort of interested in looking at what the game provides and how it sort of does actually operate. This is not the way that we tend to play the game. If you zoom in, you'll then start to sort of get like the more pretty 3D look. But this is a good planning tool. If you sort of zoom back out, you'll then end up getting this this distant look at everything. This is the solemn map as such. It again is not fully accurate, but it's a game. So it's so if you are a bit of a purist, particularly with the Western Desert War, you may be thinking, they're not dunes that were here, you know, like because they're showing sort of dunes back and through this other area. These were not dunes; these were sort of rocky outcrops along here. So as far as I've read anyway, and so you'll sort of see that there's dunes everywhere where there's normally sort of like rocky areas are listed as dunes. These have got like a special ability. Let's have a bit of a look and see what these do. So if I go back down to the information, you'll see it's got an initiative cap of 5, base entrenchment of 2, meaning if you move into them, you're going to get 2 entrenchment, maximum entrenchment of 7. So you can entrench up to level 7, which meaning if you go into them and then don't move off, you will ultimately then get, you'll be able to get better and better entrenchment. So what we need to do is we need to get infantry, which entrench, to try to sort of not move around too much once we position them. That will be important. So entrenchment speed will be 6, back and through here as well. So again, we can entrench pretty quickly into those. Movement is a little bit more difficult moving into them, so we can sort of go through it across. Everything struggles a little bit going into these dune terrains. We do actually have rocky outcrops, like this is rough desert down through here. This doesn't allow any entrenchment at all, and so but anyone can sort of move through these. So movement, tracked and half tracked. It's only feet, alpine, and horse units can actually move through these sorts of terrains in through here. Now, what you'll also see is these lines of cliffs, and you'll see them in the actual map as well. If I go and have a look at the hexes that are on this one and have a look at it, you'll see that these are listed as dunes through here, but they have a special ability inside this one, which is the escarpment. Escarpments are rocky walls between hexes. Ground units cannot move or launch melee attacks through escarpments unless there is a road available. This was a major feature of this part of the border. The escarpments really featured heavily, which is one of the reasons that this area of the border between Libya and Egypt was so defendable in so many different ways, and also presented so many interesting strategic options for actual combat historically in what happened in the Western Desert campaign. So there was a lot that was going on with these escarpments. We'll be making as good use as we can of these dunes and the escarpments when we play this particular scenario. We have to analyze what we have in through here. This looks different. These are hills over this other side. Hills are a little bit different again. So this is actually a hill, again, has got the same base entrenchment of 2 and 7. The movement is the same. The hills should give us a height advantage. There it is there. So high ground. High ground is an advantageous position. All units get +1 spotting. Ranged units get +1 range. Melee units get +10% accuracy when defending against attacks from low ground. At the same time, units attacking high ground from low ground get -10% accuracy penalty. This makes high ground hexes formidable defensive positions. So important for us to know these things when we're playing these sorts of games. So they're all going to be hills all the way along here. In fact, if I zoom back out, yeah, we can sort of see they're slightly different through there. I think this is all just dunes in through there. Yeah, dunes back in through this other side. Again, allows us to defend into that pass. We've got dunes in through that side. We do have escarpments back out that way as well. Not that anything's going to come from this area, but they may come from here because traditionally that road did go to the south. So I'm thinking, that's sort of should be open down through there. So we might have to check that one out, just to keep a bit of an eye on what's actually going on. Okay, so so we've got all of those different bits and pieces. We're going to be just delaying more than anything. So we're going to be needing to watch what does come. We're not going to be counter-attacking in this particular scenario. So it's going to be all about the defence. This is going to be the open battles that will then sort of take place in the middle. And there's no point us doing that. So we're not going to sort of be able to do anything too much. We do actually have an outpost in through here. You can sort of see it listed down through this other side. There's a village with the base entrenchment of 3, maximum entrenchment of 8. So this is fairly defendable with what it does actually have. But it's going to be it's too easy to surround it. And then we actually have just normal desert back out through that side. This is another village. Again, it's going to be a 3-8 base entrenchment, maximum entrenchment location. Easy to move into. It does actually then have around it a road that goes through dunes. So we do actually have dunes on the outside of that one. If we do lose these, we do lose the objective. So I think if we have a look, this has got a minor road that runs through it, close terrain. So in close terrain, infantry units and other units with close combat terrain shoot against the opponent's close defence rating. This is actually very, very good for infantry to be inside these, but not if we're going to be surrounded, which we will be. So if we have a look, for example, at these are also, the dunes are high ground and also close terrain. So really, in reality, this is what we need to defend. So not so much these. We almost can give those up and then just try to wait for an opportunity. I don't think it's worth sort of going further out that way in through there. We have a range of different units as well. So we'll talk about the actual units that we actually have and also the units we can get. So again, this is going to take a long time to go through everything to try to explain, particularly if you're a new player. I'll just try to sort of give you some tips as to how things do work. That's our objectives, both Solemn and Fort Capuzzo, back and through this other side. Again, there'll be certain things. This is a supply hex, you can see with that circle. And so supply hexes play an important role. Beyond the deployment phase, they serve as gateways through which units enter and leave the map. Deployment, upgrade and disband actions are only available on supply hexes. Also, as long as there is a supply line from a unit to a friendly supply hex, this unit will not be encircled. So this is actually, encircling is an important aspect of the game, and initially we'll be trying to defend against that one. We also then have a primary objective. So primary objective, the hex must be captured or held, and this is a minor road that runs through that one as well. Again, close terrain, it is actually a village that we're looking at through there. So, units and how they actually then operate. We've got essentially ground units and air units. We don't actually have any naval units in this particular campaign. The Italians may have some, but I don't think that they really could dominate much at this stage. The British Navy was pretty supreme through this region, and I thought that they were shelling this as well as they were coming through here. But let's just go through the classifications. We've got infantry, and so we've got like a group of infantry. Now we're getting a few extra points in through here because our four slot point of infantry are only costing us 3, so we can actually field a fair few more. We can field sort of 3 more good infantry in this particular. Actually, what I might do, rather than actually show what we've currently got, let's go and have a look at what we can get and then come back. Just be aware, we've got 6 infantry, 2 tanks, 3 recons, 1 anti-tank, 2 artillery, 2 fighters and 1 tactical bomber. And so that's what we actually are dealing with initially. If I go into the purchase, that's my prestige and through there. So we're getting 35 prestige per turn, plus when we give the other commander across, we're going to get another 20. So that will be fairly useful. And so that's our prestige. And then this is actually our core slots. So we have up to 40 we can actually have. We've currently got 30, so we've got 10 to spend. Let's go and purchase the units. So we go across into here. So if we go to all, we can then sort of see the whole lot, but I think it's easier to split them up into what they do. They have very, very specific roles with the different types that do come in, and they have roles within their actual roles. Now, this is we have all factions. Initially, at this stage of the war, it's only the United Kingdom that are fighting on this front. Eventually, there'll be Australians, New Zealanders, Indians. And the Indians sort of did a lot of attacking through this early phase as well. I think they were there before the New Zealanders and Australians, and so it was actually pretty much 4 different forces. So there will be different forces available, I would assume, as the campaign then develops. So we have different types of infantry, and you'll see through there that the ones that are worth 3 points are actually it looks like these may have been dropped a point actually, which is actually fairly useful. So I thought that these were 4s and these were 3s, and I'm tempted to start the game without that advantage that we have with infantry and just sort of see what we do end up with. But this is pretty cool. It does allow us to get 4 infantry if we do need it, and defensively, infantry is probably going to be one of our best options. So we've got engineers. Now, they all have different abilities. Like if I go and click on these and have a look to see military engineer, close combat unit, which most of them will be. Like if you go to GB infantry, they're also going to be close combat infantry. These are forced march. They do get extra movement points, but in this case, the engineers actually have got minesweepers, bunker killers. Now, we're not going to be using them in an attack role, but they do also have entrenchment support. All adjacent friendly units entrench at 2 times speed. Do we need that? Probably not so much, unless we're moving into a location and need to quickly entrench. So we may not want to bother with them. GB infantry at 2 slots, that's actually very, very good. So I've got 10 points. I could get 5 of those type of units if I wanted to. So these have got these again are forced march, close combat. The heavy weapons are just close combat, and commandos have got camouflage, can only be detected by recons or adjacent ground units. We have bunker killers, so +5 attack versus structures, forced march, and also close combat. So we're sort of seeing a bit of a common theme. One thing we probably want to have a look at is if we start with the standard infantry and then just compare the attack values. If we go to if I hover over the heavy infantry, I'll explain what these little things here are. This is the prestige cost. This is the number of slots that it takes up. This is its maximum strength, so 15 health. Fuel, doesn't use fuel. Maximum ammo, so it does need to replenish its ammo basically after every move, and so they do run out of ammo if you're not careful, and if they get surrounded, they don't get their supply of ammo. This is a soft attack against essentially infantry, trucks, and towed guns. This is the hard attack against armor. So we need to get a balance between these sorts of things. This is air attacks or air defense type things, and then we have naval attacks. We then actually have, we do have defenses which are different again. So we've got movement is 3. The movement type is just on the foot. The range is going to be 0. They basically have to fight right next to units. Most units are like this except for artillery. Initiative is a complex measure of the unit's gun range, optics, manoeuvrability, and training, which indicates how much damage the unit can do before the enemy has a chance to shoot back. The bigger your initiative advantage, the more strength you can kill, suppress before the enemy counterattacks you, and so the less effective this counterattack will be. And so this is actually one of these things where we do want high initiative units if we're attacking, but we also get initiative bonuses from the dunes as well, like if we hide in the dunes, and I'm going to be using them defensively. Ground defense, this unit's defense rating against ground and naval units. So you can see there it attacks at 11, defends at 8. This one is defense against air units, and this one is it's close defense. This is actually the unit's defense rating when it is being shot at from close distance. In this situation, the enemy can exploit any weak spots in the unit's protection, and so the close defense is often much less than ground defense. In close terrain like cities, forests, and mountains, infantry always shoots against the opponent's close defense rating. This makes infantry especially dangerous in close terrain. So this is sort of one of these things when we're like, essentially we end up having an advantage if we do end up in a close defense scenario, like fighting from a village. Also, close defense is used if the unit is ambushed by the enemy. So 0 for this guy. Spotting range of 2, and then a target type. So it determines what type of target must be employed against this unit. This is corresponding target type for each of the 4 attack ratings available in the game: soft, hard, air, and naval. And so essentially the target type is just infantry. We're just soft, essentially. So that then correlates to this particular attack. So they're the 4 different attack types that we actually have up the top there. Now we also have transports, so lorries and Bren carriers if we do want them. Things like the Bren carrier, you can see when I hover over that one, the Bren carrier is going to cost me 150. It has its own abilities as well that then sort of get added on to whatever the unit can then, not added onto the unit. If the if it's being transported around, and again, we don't want to be transporting our units, so I'm not going to bother with transports for these type of units. So GB infantry, this is like our baseline, and we can then just hover over, for example, the engineers, and just sort of see what the difference is. And we can see through here that the engineers take an extra slot. So in red, it means they're worse. They're worse with their ammunition. They're worse against soft targets. They're better, slightly better against hard targets. They don't travel as well, and their defense is lower against essentially the hard targets, but their close defense is much better. So at 8, they defend very, very well in cities. So this would be the so getting engineers can be great if you're assaulting and you need some sort of support to assault, but they can also be very, very good for close defense. So if we just go and close this for a second and have a look again at the dunes, we can see there that dunes are close terrain. And so they're close terrain and high terrain. So in this case, engineers will perform pretty well on those sorts of locations. So let's just go back in and buy them. Look, it's this again, GB infantry. So they do fairly well there. The heavy weapons infantry has got a so this is actually a little bit more expensive. It does slightly better against hard targets. It does have less ammunition. It's slower moving. Its initiative is higher. It does defend better, but doesn't have a better close defense with what it actually does end up doing. So it's not going to do all that much. The commando unit has got a little bit of close defense. So you can see there, in essence, the GB infantry at 2 core slots is actually not a bad little unit for us to sort of make use of. So that's the infantry. Just having a look. There is also bridge engineers, which we're not going to need. So we won't even look at those. They're only 1 slot, but they're not going to really be of any use to us. But I'm liking the idea of getting mainly GB infantry. I can get 5 of those because I've got 10 slots left over if I want them. Now, the next thing across is tanks. Tanks are, and you can see through here, do have the cruisers and the Matildas, and so the Matilda is only 2 slots to grab one of these things, and this is an infantry tank. These are good against infantry. They do defend very, very well, so they've got good ground defense. So this is against ground and naval units, but these are not going to be able to get the benefit of close terrain. So these are really only going to operate out in the open, and we're not going to be fighting in the open much at all. And I think we started off with 2 tanks anyway. I think we had a cruiser as well. So we've got the cruiser in through here, which actually performs a little bit better than the Matilda. So they're the 2 main tanks that were sort of used by the British for a lot of their counter-attacking. So we don't really need those. The recon, this is interesting with what they've got through here. You can see the armoured cars there are 2 slots as well. These have got, like if you start off with the Rolls-Royce, this is the one that sort of started off in the Western Desert, and it sort of moves out from there. I don't know what that does. Oh, that just rolls it down so you can see it there. That's okay. So in this case, the armoured car is their main benefit is their scouting. So they've actually got phased movement. This means you can move a little bit at a time to see what's what. Now we do start off with 3 of these, and that's probably enough for us because we're defending. If we were attacking, I'd want more of these. We also then have the rapid fire, so it does 1.5 more shots than normal and consequently deals 1.5 damage to the target. This trait does not affect ammo spending. The unit will still consume one ammo per attack, and it does actually have extra spotting. Its recon range is going to be 3, a little bit more than normal. So these are very important, particularly when you're attacking. Now, one of the interesting things through here, we do actually have the Morris, which is 130 back in this other side. So, but this Chevy truck, which looks really, really unwieldy and unusual, you can see there it doesn't really have very good. If I hover over the Rolls-Royce or even the Morris is going to be sort of probably our best of these. Or actually, the Humber, the Morris would still be the best of these. The Humber, I think, has got a better anti-armor attack. That's 8. This one's that one's still actually 8. But the Morris does a good job here. And so you're thinking, okay, well, why is that 3 slots? What's the difference there? The difference is this is the long-range desert group that we spoke about before. This is actually what they were using. So this is actually specific for the game. Is this Chevrolet, this Chevy truck that has sort of been, it's got a machine gun mounted in the back of it. And so these are essentially a phased movement, recon, but switches to long-range desert group, and we can see there when we actually switch to the long-range desert group, well, it says the core slots go down, but essentially it becomes an infantry fighting force at that point. So we can actually have a hybrid with these particular ones where they take up 3 slots and then essentially become infantry when we need them to, which I quite like the idea of that as well. Just from what again from nostalgia. So it's one of those things that I like this. This is again unique for this particular Cyrenaica DLC. I don't think this is available anywhere else. So I certainly can't remember seeing it anywhere because the LRDG, that's long range desert group. That's what we're sort of referring to there. Infantry is what sort of then does kick up. So that's 11.7 with what we sort of see through that one. If we go back to the infantry again and look at this one, and this one is 11.7. So it essentially becomes an infantry group if and when required. And I like the idea of that. It's only 120. Infantry is 140. I'm not sure if we then have to, I'm not sure how that will operate in the game. But I like the idea of that one. It is 3 slots though. So infantry, our basic infantry is only 2. So the slots will be important. Right, that's scout cars. So recon with that phased movement is important. By the way, tanks will have, they generally have a high level. These are infantry tanks. They're going to be mainly doing against soft targets. The cruisers are mainly against armor, so these would be sort of like anti-armor. If we're defending, tanks aren't going to be all that helpful for us, so we won't really sort of worry about them. Anti-tank guns will be though, and so we've only got 2 of these. We've got a quarter pounder, a 2 pounder in through here, so not a quarter pounder. These are only 1 slot, and these actually do 15 damage against hard attacks. It would be useful to get one of these, so that's actually worth sort of having a bit of a look at. And then we've got the Bofors 35mm anti-tank Portee, which is again a moving unit which does 14 hard attack. The interesting thing about these is that they actually have anti-tank support, so provide support fire to adjacent friendly units attacked by enemy army units with the hard target type. So if enemy tanks attack and you've got one of these behind infantry or behind any other unit, it will actually do a counter-attack. And so this is sort of the sorts of things that we do want to have available to us. So this 2 pounder, I've always called it a quarter pounder, and I don't know why, but anyway, the QF 2 pounder is going to be valuable at only 1 slot. Now, if we will need to get some sort of transport. 2 of these don't take up any slots, like the lorry or the wagon, but the Bren carrier version does. This will then, if it is being transported and it's in a Bren carrier, it's got much more survivability than if it's just in a lorry. So the lorries, if it is moving, it isn't deployed, it becomes it becomes easier to hit, essentially. Anti-air, we're not expecting to see much in the way of aircraft coming through, but interestingly, you do actually have, with most anti-air, you can switch these down, so these will then have an ability, so no retaliation back through there, so the enemy units don't shoot back when attacked by a unit with this trait. This one's got anti-air support, so provides support fire against air-to-ground targets. Suppressing fire, bigger part of damage done by this unit comes in the form of suppression, not kills. Each star indicates it slightly improves the chance to outright kill the target, so experienced units with this trait become more deadly, but it's mainly to stop enemy aircraft from attacking different areas. But this thing here switches to a 40mm Bofors anti-tank gun, and so you can switch this to anti-tank to an anti-tank role. And so these are sort of like dual role with what we end up having with these. And so we actually end up with, and some of these are higher, like the QF 3-inch gun is going to be 2 slots, but a lot of these are only 1 slot. And even though they cost a bit, they all have this ability to switch low altitude attacks. So anti-air units with this trait can access close defense for attacking aircraft with the same trait, rapid fire, suppressing fire, anti-air support, no retaliation. So that's actually, so these probably viable for us to pick up one of those as well. We then actually have artillery. Artillery is very important in the game. So it actually has an ability, and through here you can see it's 4 slots, 3 slots, 5 slots, 2 slots. These are it's because they attack at range. So you can see that if we choose the what would be the, if we go to the 25 pounder in back and through here and have a bit of a look, this has got a range of 2. It also has other abilities. So one of the things it's got artillery support, provides supporting fire to adjacent friendly units attacked by enemy unarmored units. So So if infantry is attacking, and we're going to be mainly sort of having infantry, if we could have some of these units in behind the front line, they will give supporting fire to the defence. So that's actually fairly important. Suppressing fire, a bigger part of the damage done by this unit comes in the form of suppression, not kills. I'll talk about that when we get into the actual combat. Each star slightly improves the chance of outright kill the target, so experienced units with this trait become more deadly. We then actually have entrenchment killer, and then switching to an anti-tank gun. So we can actually switch this one across, either from an anti-tank role or into just an artillery role. And so that takes up 2 slots. If we go back to our anti-tank and have a bit of a look, this is a 2-pounder. And this one here becomes... Yeah, so it takes on an anti-tank role. I'm sort of hovering over the top there, but it changes to 16 defense. I sort of like the idea of that, and we can look at the terrain and figure out what do we need, what do we want where. Yeah, we can just do different things with that. So anyway, that's going to be interesting to sort of play with those. We then actually have different aircraft. We have fighters, which at the moment we've just got the Gladiator. So we do eventually, we've got the Hurricane available as well. This is 3 slots. These become very, very valuable during the game, like particularly if you're playing like a random game, you need to get air superiority. Not sure how we'll play this one out with what we've got. We've got a couple of these already. These are going to be fairly weak with what they do. The Hurricane, you can see there, is mainly its air attack is much stronger, and its air defense is much stronger as well. So the Gladiator is what we've currently got. It's 2 slots. I might see if I can even ditch those. And then we've got this is the tactical bombers, and we've got another Hurricane tactical bomber in through there. We've got the Battle Mark II, the Blenheims and the Wellingtons. Now the Blenheim as a tactical bomber, do we need it? And again, I'm thinking that's 2 slots I could actually make use of. I might be able to ditch those and even bring in a Hurricane or something like that, just to support us a little bit. But let's go and close that off. So that's actually what we have in terms of what we can then go and buy in. If we have a look and see what we actually end up having, so this tactical bomber, you should be able to. Sometimes you can disband them and instantly disband selected unit and recovers its prestige cost. So let's just see if we can do that. So disband the unit, yes. And so we now got 28 points, and we no longer have that one through there. The Gladiator Mark II. I'm thinking of getting rid of these as well. I just can't see them being of great value to us in reality. Fighter support, low altitude attack. I might disband these as well. I can't see them playing a massive role. I think I will buy myself a Hurricane just to try to sort of to deal with it. In fact, if I got rid of that one, I could have 2 Hurricanes to replace all of the other fighters, and that would give me a pretty good air superiority. So we just ditch these Gladiators right from the start. Let's go and do that. So we'll disband those. We've now got a heap of core slots available. Artillery-wise, we do actually have these 4.5 inch, which are 3 slots. Let's have a look and see what they actually have. So they've got the suppressing fire, artillery support, and entrenchment killer. These will have a range of 3, I think. 4. That's high range. So these are valuable. These are very, very valuable. I like the idea of those, to be honest. I don't think I like where that one's placed. We might have a look and see if we can change something there. Anti-tank guns, we do actually have one of these, which does have, so this is the anti-tank support, back in through here. And this one does actually have a lorry. These are also, have already got lorries attached to them as well. Armoured car units, I'm happy with all of these. There's one of our Chevys, which we can then switch across. It's not sort of showing we can actually do that one straight away. Assigning heroes, deployed, we'll have a bit of a look. We've got 2 tanks, we've got a Matilda back in through here, which does actually have a hero. So if we have a look at this one, I'll have a look at that one. If I click on the hero, no, I can't look at that one just yet. Then we've got the Vickers Mark II. Vickers Mark II is not going to be all that great, so I think we'll ditch that as well. So let's go and delete that one. The Vickers, if we have a look again at our purchase of tanks, the Vickers Mark II is 122 slots, which is like comparing that to the Matilda, it doesn't really do a hell of a lot, to be honest. Whereas the cruiser, I could then sort of use the cruiser much more effectively for one extra slot. That one there's anti-tank. I think we're going to be mainly up against infantry initially. I might switch that one out. So we'll get rid of you as well. Disband. So we do have one hero in here. I can actually I can add heroes to the units. I will be doing that one before we really get started. So in this case, in the deployment phase is where we have to plan what we do. We've got GB infantry, infantry, heavy weapons, GB heavy weapons again, and heavy weapons. So I've got 3 heavy weapons and 3 GB infantry. All right, we'll need more than that with what we're going to be doing. So let's now go in and start to buy up. We've now got like a lot of slots available to us. We're mainly going to be wanting to, I will need to get one more tank at least. So we'll just go back into purchase units. Cruiser or Crusader? And it really comes down to what sort of damage that they do. The Cruiser does more, it's got better movement and does better against the against anti-armor. But I'm thinking with our defense, the Cruiser tank I think will be good. Let's just go and add that one to the basket. So that's taking up 3 slots to grab that one through there. Let's go to our fighter craft and we'll grab 2 of the Hurricanes, which will help us a little bit with the defense. Add to basket, and we'll just go and throw 2 of those in there. So we're now up to 9 slots. So we're almost back up to sort of where we were. In terms of the artillery, I do like the idea of this one, being able to switch back across, switches to an anti-tank gun. It's only got a range of 2, and when it's an anti-tank gun, it's only got it's close range. It's another 2 slots. Let's add it to the basket. It's 11 points now that we actually have. So we're up to 33 now. And I think what I really need to do is, we've got 1 anti-tank. That gives me 2 anti-tanks essentially. It's only 2 slots, which is fine. That one there is actually alright. Recon I'm happy with what I've got. So, and tanks I'm happy with now. So it's just now infantry. Just filling up the rest of them. And I'm thinking, do we even bother with engineers? That's 3 slots. Now I do actually have, what have I got left over? I've got 7 slots left over. So I could go and get 2 more of the, well, what's the difference here? For defense, I think I'm better off with the heavy weapons. Let's add to the basket. By the way, you can make things over strength as well. Like I can actually sort of go and get these guys, or I can go to over strength and start to ramp them up. So if I make them go from 15 to 16, it's still 2 core slots. It just makes them a little bit stronger. But then if I go to 17 or 18, it's going to be 3 core slots and 4 core slots if I go to 19 or 20, which just makes them more powerful at the start. I'm not going to worry about doing that one, but you can do it. Let's go and add in 1 more of those. That's now 15. And I will grab an engineer because that should then round everything back out. And so if I just go and add that one to the basket. So that then gives me a better selection. And we are now up to 18 slots, which takes us up to the 40. It's costing us 1,000 points. We've got 2,800 at this point. So let's go and purchase these, then we'll go and place them. So again, we're just now setting up what we actually do need. So these are now our deployments. We have our what's on the field. This is our deployment group. And you can see there where the gaps have been left. So we will actually go and place the fighters. The fighters have to be around airfields. So I'll place one on that airfield. I'll keep them both together because they do then support each other. So let's go and place them. That'll do us. So, and we will be needing to just go and scout down to the bottom here. The tanks, I want to keep them sort of back in this position, so I'll put the tank in through there. We can actually rearrange different infantry and different things as well. Like we do actually have positions where we can sort of go and do things. And I will be wanting to put a piece of infantry. Well, this one, we didn't actually get this one to, what's its movement? Its movement is 1. I was thinking of trying to keep it in around here somewhere, just to aid support. I might place it in here, and then we'll see if we can actually move it back. I may have, you know what I needed to do? I needed to go and get a lorry with that. So let's go and disband this one and go back into the purchase again. So that's the artillery. Really should have done this one with a like I can't really get a Bren carrier, but I can get the lorry. I can get the wagon as well, which is a different sort of movement type. It doesn't move as far. And I'm not sure if how that will end. Let's get the lorry to start with. So we'll just go and add that one in. Yeah, so it's got the lorry support there, and we'll purchase that one. So this one does have the lorry. Now, one thing we need to just double check is in the dunes, wheeled. Yeah, they do move. They do move through the dunes. So in this case, it's not going to stop them. Through this area, through the rough desert, they can't move through that. But they can move in here. So if I go and get these guys to position themselves in here. So they're on high ground, and we'll end up needing to needing to defend all of this in through here anyway. Then we actually have the heavy weapons, the engineers. The engineers I do want to have to support the units that are out along here. So I'll place them maybe in here. And then we've just got 2 heavy weapons. And I'll move these back away from here. Here we go. All right, that's all of our forces now positioned. I'm happy with the layout for that one. Again, the positioning is quite important. Now, this is actually the 2-pounder anti-tank. This is not where we want this one to be. It's just too far back. So, and it does actually have a lorry. So I'm going to be wanting it up near the front as well. So I'm just going to go and I can go to, actually I can either disband it, but I should be able to actually take it off from here as well. Oh, here we go. We've got undeploy all, replace all, disband, undo. That's sort of more global. I thought I could do it from here to actually take it off the limits here. Previous unit toggle, undo. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, for the units that I bring in, like there's undeploy there, but I can't do it with these. I think that's a limit, but again, I can get around that sort of just by disbanding it. But I won't do that. It's a bit cheaty, I guess. So anyway, we've got those different things in through there. So I'm pretty happy with the arrangement that we actually have. We do have an armoured car down the south. I do want to I need to check out around Fort Capuzzo. Historically, I know that it was a group that came up this way at the start of this attack. I'm expecting the main force to be here. Unfortunately, we're going to waste a unit's turn. One of the aircraft. We just have to fly down that way to see what's what. Anyway, let's go and end our deployment. I'm pretty sure I've done everything I need to do. We're back up to maximum core slots. let's get into it. So we'll end our deployment. So some of you, oh yes, no, we need to definitely. I knew there was something we had to do. So with heroes, we need to add heroes, which is this one through here. Now, if I go into the tanks, this one, this particular Matilda has already got a hero attached to it. So I can't go and place that one. If I go in and place, I'm thinking of like this particular cruiser. If we go into add in hero, now we do actually have famous and overrun. Overrun can destroy overrun weakened enemy units without spending move or attack orders. So this one is ideal for tanks. So I'm going to put Raymond Harper in that particular group. So he's now part of that tank group. The other one is coming through as being famous, which means we end up with extra prestige. Not going to give us any benefit to anything else. So I'm thinking I'm just going to go to the engineers. Actually, the engineers, I could have used a lorry as well. I'm going to undeploy them. Actually, what I can do here is I can actually upgrade. So I can go to these and just go and say, okay, you're going to have a lorry, and we'll just upgrade. So that then just makes them so that they do actually have transports. So most of them I won't worry about, but I will actually in this case because they're slow moving. So we'll just go and get those done, and I think we'll just go and add the group in here. I sort of want them to sort of either control this area or this area. I'm not sure yet, but let's just go across and yeah, maybe even this other side over here. So if with this force, if we go to the where is it? We've got the hero attached, and so he's been assigned. But this one generates 20 prestige per turn. I just need it in a unit that I'm not going to be wanting to lose. And the engineers, I'll actually, they may be a little bit too. Let's just do it anyway. They're probably a little bit going to be too much of a fighting force. But they're likely to be able to retreat a little bit as well. Okay, so we've got our heroes now assigned. You can see them assigned in through here. So let's now go across and end our deployment phase. Here they come. We're now seeing the enemy forces. So they're attacking, or I might just zoom in a little bit so we can see what's going on. Turn 1 of 16. So here we go. So we're seeing different forces now coming in. We actually do have the 17th Cyrenaica force, which is one of their armoured cars. We can actually go and have a look at the unit details to see what we're actually up against, and it's a good idea to do this. So just to sort of see how they compare with what we actually have. We can also do it when we hover over it with different attacks. So we're seeing the start of what they're doing. Now here they come down this way. These ones do actually have also transports as well. These have just got truck transports. Now I'm thinking I want to move right out of here. Where you see the dots, it means it's just moving on its own with its own feet. When you see the drop down like this, it means that the unit then gets out of its vehicle. And when you sort of see, now this one here is this one has got like an actual Bren carrier for this particular infantry. And this is showing we've got an attack action we can do, and it's still got move action. So this is how we can see the status of what's going on. Core units are units that you know, sort of they go with you from scenario to scenario in the campaign, so they become fairly important with what we actually end up having. In this case, we've got the this force in through here. I can't attack with it when I do this sort of movement. I can still attack there, but this just means that they come off their transports. We're going to be wanting to move all the way across. Now the Morris has got like a way of, we're going to need to scout with these guys. And that's going to be the end of its movement there. So this is phase movement. I don't have to plan my attack. You can see there that we end up with a good attack against this particular group. So let's actually move this one in. This one will also then give us other support type attacks that we then can do. I'm just going to go into here. Now with this one, I do have an attack, but if I can sort of structure my attacks a bit better, we're going to be able to do other things. Now this is the Chevy again that we sort of saw. We do have an attack in through there using the Chevy if we wanted to do it. Again, this is like a recon type unit, but we should be able to switch it. Yeah, we can switch select unit to different mode of operation. This is the long range desert group. Now that there is a dune, which is where I do want to place an infantry. And we'll switch across. So they're now infantry, and they're not attacking anywhere near as good. I've got 3 undos if I want to do it this way. My sound seems to be a bit low, but that's okay. So with actually it looks like I've still got sound playing somewhere else. Yeah, so I'll just going to check. I think it was actually okay. I've tried to make the sound a little bit louder. So I could undo that to make them a little bit more of an attack, because this is a hard attack. I should have checked that before I did it. So we have the hard attack going in that other side. We also have artillery, which can still fire. Now these have actually been suppressed, then taken a little bit of damage with the actual unit itself. So we can sort of see through there. It's 9 out of 10 strength, and its suppression is actually okay. These ones can attack, and these will then affect their suppression. That's what the -3 actually is in through there. We do need to get rid of these aircraft as well, so we might have a look to see what we've got. This is a what does that one have? I'm glad that we switched over. Actually, these have only got four air attacks, and then this one over through here has got 6 air attacks. So I'm going to use both my Hurricanes to attack. Probably from air superiority, I'm going to move it across to attack this one here. So we'll just place it over the top of this one. They do sort of support each other a little bit. Yeah, I do have different attacks there. We have 4 coming back the other way. So it is a little bit better, but if we end up with extras, we never bothered getting the anti-tank. Let's just move up there. That one we can move out to here as well, which will just protect the long-range desert group. Now, if I go this way, this is now a mass attack, and this one as well. So actually, I may have that one wrong. -2. I always forget which way the combat stats actually sort of work in the game. But we should have the advantage. Yeah, I'm just trying to sort of see what the go is here. But in this case, actually, I'll do even a deeper dive into the combat. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to lose 5. We're likely to lose 2. We do have a mass attack now going in with what's actually going with the attack. You can see their mass attack. I don't know if it'll show it down through here as such. Because we're next to, oh look, we've got another unit that's sort of going to be participating to help the attack out. So you're better off positioning these sorts of units first and then doing the attacks. So we do get an advantage with this one. If he attacks us, as an example, it's going to be he's going to lose 4 against our 2. But in this case, we'll just go and start to this attack. Yep, 4, and we did lose 2, so that's actually what did happen there. We gave them a little bit of suppression, so we didn't get all the 5 that we were hoping to get. Now, if I press the L key, I can then sort of see what the specifics of the actual attack as well. I won't go through in too much detail, but this just goes through in incredible detail how the game actually does work. It's all exposed. I love that games do this, where they expose everything. So combat range of 0, attackers initiative, base initiative 2, and then they had a base initiative of 4 with their defenders. So the mass attack is -1 with what does go on. Defenders effective initiative is 3. So they end up with better initiative with our attack. Initiative difference, 2 minus 3 equals -1. Defender shoots first. 20% of damage will be applied before the attacker can shoot back. Isn't it great that it's giving you such detailed information? The Hurricane strikes. The number of shots, unsuppressed strength is 10. Effective number of shots is 10. In this case, so base accuracy 50. Proximity to base bonus of 16. Effective accuracy 66%. So so we've got 10 shots going in at 66% accuracy, essentially is what that's telling us. The attack rating of 8, a defense rating of 2. So deflect, suppress, kill chances are 10%, 20%, and 70%. So we've got a higher kill chance with this one. So that's actually sort of where we end up with the overall results. The rolls, for the first roll determines hit or miss. The second roll determines deflect, suppress, or kill. And so if we get past the hit or miss, we should be getting kills. And so in this case, the first one we rolled was a 19. Now remember, we need to essentially anything over, it's 66% accuracy. So we have to roll a 33, a 34 or more to be able to then get the hit. So 19 is a miss completely. The next one is a hit, and then it's a kill because we've got over 70, like over 30%. So next one is a 84 hit kill through there. So that's only just squeaked into the 70% range. The next one was under. It was actually in the 22% range in through here, which then is just a suppression hit on the next one. Next one was a miss. Then there was a deflect because we actually only got down to through here, so it didn't do anything at all. Then we got a kill and another suppress. So it wasn't super lucky with what we ended up having, and so 3 misses, which yeah, that's fair enough. That's about right in terms of the percentages. So real result was 4 killed, 2 suppressed. So prediction was 4.62 killed and 0.91 suppressed. That's actually what the prediction was initially with the way it sort of works. Randomness was 50%, so final result 50% real and 50% prediction. So final result was from these sorts of things in through here. So it sort of then works out what the actual rates would end up sort of being through there. So this is where the RNG aspect does kick in. It then strikes back, it fires back, so it's got unsuppressed strength of 10, base accuracy is 52% because of its proximity to base bonus, the base attack rating of 6, and so it actually it's going to have, there's a 40% deflection chance, a 20% suppression chance, and then a 40% kill chance. So it has to roll over 60% to get a kill, and so in this case it did get a it got a 71% was so it got a hit but was deflected, miss, hit with a kill, so it scored into over the 60%, and then another hit down through here with a suppression, and then a miss, and the real result was 1 killed and 1 suppressed. But the prediction was, original prediction was 2 killed, and so 50% means that we end up taking a bonus kill, a bonus death, because of the RNG, the way that's kicking in. So that's sort of how that one is working. Again, I'm doing a really deep dive here, and I can go through all of the different attacks to see exactly what did actually happen here with everything. So anyway, let's just close that one off. So that's down to 2. I now have this one, and it can also now come back in. And so it's now going to do 4 damage to it, is the prediction, with 1 damage back to us. I can do, I will keep on going this way. It's down to 2. Unfortunately, we don't have enough to finish it off. It would be cool if we did, and we did take the 1 damage there. I won't keep on opening up the log file, but the log is extremely detailed and does tell you what's going on. It actually really puts it into perspective if you're trying to figure out how the game is actually working. That's all we can do with our infantry. We don't actually have any other way to impact those. We do need to get to the south, actually, just to see what's going to go on. This is the Rolls-Royce armoured car, which will give us... it's not enough against this guy here. I sort of want to do the damage here. Got the cruiser tank. And the Matilda as well. I could essentially surround it. By bringing this one up. Yeah, I might do that. They're all heavies. And again, we're going to be wanting to sit on these areas in through here. I want this one to stay back slightly. Now we're in the heights, so we get an advantage there. I do actually have this one here, which will then just help with suppression. I'm not impacted by the enemy aircraft above us. I could either do this, or I could actually go and get replacements, but I think I'll just stay where I am. So let's go and hit this one pretty hard. Actually, we got a kill there, and we got 4 suppression. So we did better. So in this case, we ended up, the RNG worked in our favour, and then it gets divided into half from the predicted result. And so in this case, he has been suppressed quite a bit. So his suppression is now fairly low. He's down to his suppression strength is part of the unit strength, which is not destroyed, but due to various reasons, disorganisation. So it can no longer fire back anywhere near as effectively. And so now instead of it doing 2 damage, it's going to do 1. What about our cruiser? Our cruiser is still... It's going to do 2 damage there. Let's go and place this one in here. Oh, there we go. We do actually have... Now this is a... again, we just want to check and see. This is actually an artillery unit. Well, that changes things a lot. Maybe we wanted to move these up and out. That one can't really do anything too great. The artillery is much more important that we actually impact this. You can see there the range that it's got. But if I bring the Matilda up as well, then we've got another unit back over here, which is actually slightly damaged. This is one of the M11s. Now we're going to take a bit of suppression with that one, and same with this one here. We did take 1 damage actually, which isn't great. The enemy rescued one of its dispersed units, remaining units are 2. We can't do anything else much with that one. Now we do actually have the town here. I'll leave that one there. Oh, sorry, this one is better. This one is a better attack into here. That was actually the damage coming back to us. We did 2 damage to it, that's good. Now we still have this unit as well, which I'm a bit worried about. I think I'm going to give up this. They're going to get a little bit extra that they can bring back in. The Bren carrier won't really be able to do anything there. Unfortunately, we don't have anything else we can do with that. But it is surrounded with our units, and this one can move in just to sort of put more pressure on it, which I think I'll just do, and we can move this way a little bit as well. That's just going to make it a little bit more difficult for it to move through any sort of zone of control. It's been a good start for us. And I don't want to leave it in the lorry, otherwise it becomes too much of a target. And I will ultimately need it back in here. So I'm just going to go and position these here to start with. So at least we're sort of now back out in the open again. And the idea is to move these back to defend this this road system. And I can't see this being of any real use to us. Again, I'll just move out so we end up sort of just being the basic units there, so they can just sort of stay where they are for now. So we'll move away from this so they can have that one. We'll give that one up. I think this has been a fairly good initial turn for us. So I'll just go into, you can either go right back at bracket or period just to go to the next unit available. Actually, we do have these as well, which we do need to start to bring up. I forgot about these units at the back. We definitely want to, I want to have someone in here just to block anything that may sort of come this side. And the idea here is just to run these up. Now, I don't think this one has got vision into where this one actually is, so we'll keep it in the truck, which is a bit dangerous. Bring them up in into that high point there as well. Now these, I'm sort of anticipating we're not going to see anything coming from the other side. So I think we are going to have to move up into these zones. Now this is again on a truck, so I don't want to leave it on the truck, although it is probably safe. Actually, maybe not. Look, I want to get it into position fairly fast, so I'll take a punt on it. And in this case, we are now leaving it on the truck itself. Let's just see what we've got left. That unit can still actually move, but I'm actually happy with where that is at this point in time. Okay, so that unit can just stay where it is and dig in. This unit can just stay where it is as well. It can actually move, but I need it in the heights. And we don't need it as a long-range desert group, you know, in terms of its ability to move around. So I'm happy with that one as well. So we've sort of now gone through. Let's just end our turn. They're flying back. Alright, here we go. So, we did get attacked, where was it? Over here. Yeah, so I'm glad I did actually do what I did with this one. These forces are now coming back through. Our force, they've actually now got out of their trucks. So these Cyrenaica are very much like our long-range desert group. They're blocked off essentially. They're going to just take damage no matter what we do. No real point in sort of doing much with this one with them. We don't have any other targets as such. We do have others coming through. They're trying to fix these up. Yeah, we can actually do damage here. So let's go and get the infantry back into there. And we destroyed it. That's great. Good. That's a very dangerous unit that we've now gotten rid of. It does allow our tanks to then start to operate. Now, with what we actually have through here, what have we got? We've got the provocateur. So adjacent enemies attacking other friendly units will attack this unit instead. Avenger. So it gets attack bonus for each point of lost strength. And first strike always attacks first. This means we can do some pretty big damage in here. Well, let's just see what damage we can actually do. These are, this one here is a very, very strong unit. Soft attack, hard attack. Move them up. End up pushing these down. Yeah, I think I'll leave them back this way. I can move them and then attack, but I want to get them on the hills. Now, our aircraft are still in a good position to take on this unit. The other one will be being fixed up. Yeah, we can do 3 damage there. Yeah, I'll take another punt here. Let's go and get them to gang up on this one. So we now have mass attack. Did lose 2 there, which isn't good. It's down to 3, so it's now sort of taking damage. Everything else is looking good. Now these do lend support to any attack that's going to go in, and so I do want to start to push up into these areas, and even if they don't attack, see how it's now 7? with what they do. That's going to push it right back. We'll do 6. This one does 6 with suppression. Let's just go and place that one up there and just see what we can do. Oh, this is a flamethrower unit. Okay. And so when we have the attack going in, we'll do another 7 to it. It's now encircled. And so with the attack that's going to be going in with this one, we've got your overrun, can destroy overrun weakened enemy units, but we're not going to probably get there just yet. Do have the mass attack there. And now we will definitely get the overrun. Great. Which allows us to then remove, like we can move this unit somewhere else, and we can still do more attacks, but you can see there, because they're defending up and through here, this is just Italian infantry, so it's just basic infantry, but for us it becomes dangerous because of their position. So so we need to sort of move back away from that. We need to control these dunes here. That's why moving these units up into this area where this tank is, it's not going to be able to really do much against us. So we'll just need to keep on sort of trying to do what we can do in there. These guys didn't attack, so we can actually make use of these to start to harass even more of them. This one I have moved it, so I can't actually go and give it replacements. So this is the Rolls-Royce, which is actually that's not bad actually, just to put pressure on it. And we are seeing at the back there another unit which can actually then do suppression damage. We'll be wanting to go back and take these ones out, so let's go and start to weaken this one. Yep, so we only took suppression damage in through that side. It just makes us a little bit weaker. And we'll just move back out of the way of this one here. We don't have the attack there anymore. Let's just see if we can spot anything else. Spotting is very, very important in this game. Now we still have this guy to deal with as well. That should push it back into the range of our other unit, which it didn't. But we can kill it this way. They're engineers. Good stuff. Okay, so they've done what they needed to do. And I want to bring this one like down the bottom through here. When I hover over it, you can sort of see that we've got dunes there. If I go and click on this unit through here, there's just desert there. And that one there that's only desert as well. So in reality, I need to get infantry in here, and I need to bring this one back away from the dunes. We do actually have dunes underneath this area and dunes there. So these infantry units will have ultimately be needing to go back into these slots to protect this other side. That one eventually will get replacements for fairly soon. I'm tempted to leave one of these behind at Fort Capuzzo. I think Fort Capuzzo is just too important to not do that with. Now this is the anti-tank gun. I think I might keep that one coming up through the middle here. Don't think they can see us back there. Take the punt, and this one we do want to move up through this area here. Alright, that's good, and we've still got this one as well, which I just want to keep in these areas just to sort of make sure nothing tries to do a surprise attack through the hills or through the dunes there. So that should be good. Just quickly have a look through, make sure we've moved everything we have to move. If I don't move that one, again I do massive damage here, but this then can attack us. There's the motorcycles, the Moto Guzzi Trialci group. These are recons, close combat, phase movement. They won't do all that well against us, but we're going to get pretty major suppression coming back the other side. I think I will. I can even take this one up to do some damage, and then this one as well, to just keep on pushing it back. We are dug in fairly well here, and I sort of want this to be like an anchor point. I might just do some damage while we're... Actually, I might even... Yeah, no, I will do it. I will do it. It might be a bit too aggressive, but anyway, we'll see what actually happens here. Now, that did push it back, but this will now have a shot at us, and it'll do 3 suppression, which isn't terrible. Alright, that's got all of those. Just have a quick look and make sure that there's nothing else that we need to be operating. That one still has movement, and so I think I will actually just move it back away from the front. And that's everything again. Oh, this one we can actually just get replacements. Now, if it becomes elite, like at the moment you can see it doesn't have any experience, it's level 0. So I might as well just get basic replacements. So this was just going to cost me 22. If I go that way, it's going to cost me 40. So this one gives better replacements. So it gives selected units elite replacements up to 50% of the max unit strength at a time. This one here is give selected units green replacements up to 50%. Now they're green anyway. So I'm just going to save a little bit of money here. So the experience here will be just 99. This one here will be essentially 110, I think. But if we just go and grab the replacements, it just gives us an extra slot back in through there. Can't do anything with that one just yet. Okay, that's all good. Yeah, I'm thinking that's all we need to do at this point in time. So let's go and end our turn here. Just having one last little look just to make sure that that's really all we've got. Yeah, it's just those 3. Okay, that's fine. They're flying back. Here they come. The motorbikes. It's actually not bad for us. We should be able to now cut off that other tank. Is that the Maletti group? Is that the one that's supposed to be coming from the south? It doesn't tell us what the name of it is. It's just the 31st M11s. This one has been set up. But I'm going to surround it. We can get suppression attacks on it already. Even if I move in there, it's still going to be suppressing it. If I move back, it's not going to matter either. I think I will actually move back in this instance just because I don't think I can do much to damage it with what we have. It'll take us 2 turns, so let's go and just move it back to here. 3 suppression, that's good. This one here we can do 1 kill with these guys, but we really do need to... Did they do anything with aircraft? No, we didn't see the aircraft anywhere in this instance. So what we'll do is I might just zoom out a little bit with this. Oh, by the way, sorry, I know that people get annoyed with me for keeping this open. And I will turn it off. There we are. Gives you a little bit more real estate. Sorry about that. I know it's annoying for people when I leave that open. We've got other things. We've got the stats panel, which is off to the side. I do like seeing this one because it gives me a summary, and then we've got the mini map as well on the other side, which I'll keep open as well, just so you get the perspective. But I think that you're getting rid of the unit list. We don't need it until we're sort of unless we're sort of really planning things. Gives us a little bit more real estate to sort of enjoy what we're seeing. So I could go and take this one out, but I'm going to... Now these ones have started to get experience. They've got 200 experience. So let's go and get elite replacements here. And I'm going to do the same here, even though I can do a bit of killing. Where can that one move to? If I move in, it's really sort of stuck. actually. I just accidentally clicked on it. That's actually still not bad. Got it. Great. Excellent. Okay, and then we didn't lose any with that unit. We did with this one, but not with the other one. So that works out well. It's got rid of one of their other units. I will move that one into Fort Capuzzo just in case. I've just got a funny feeling there's going to be something down that way. Let's go and get these ones elite. Let's see, this one here has got 162. That's enough for us to get elite replacements there, I think. So we'll just try to keep their experience levels where they were. Now we've done what we had to do there. Now the engineers, I think I'll put them in the actual objective. Just leave them where they are. And then we'll have to maybe bring other forces back in. This one here is also worth getting elite. We've got a lot of prestige to spend here. Now we can't move off once we do that one, so let's just keep these protecting this area. I don't think I'll move them off. I'll just leave them where they are. Although I do actually have attacks here. Now they're giving support this group in through here. This is this is interesting. This is actually an anti-tank, an artillery class. This is the Mauricio da 81. So these may be mortars. What do we know about them? Unit details. There we are. Yeah, the mortar unit. A little artillery unit, which is again this is unique with what we're sort of seeing through here with the fairly good mortar, and through this other side, yeah, big soft attack. So if I now attack this unit, because it's an artillery unit, it's actually going to support this unit. So I need to stop it if I can, and I can actually get all the way around here to do some damage to it. And again, we don't have to rush this. Let's just see what we're up against. There's an L3. These were pretty weak, I think, the L3s. Yeah, very weak. Now it's still going to attack us. I'm actually tempted to now... I've got this guy here as well. These Rolls Royce. You can see the Rolls Royce aren't super powerful with what they do. We don't have any attacks there. Just in support in that side there with this one. Bring them up. And bring the heavy weapons up into this area as well, just to sort of make sure that it's all completely blocked off. Now these are anti-tanks, which we will need. Through this region. We've got 108 there. It's not worth. I'll just get normal replacements in through this other side. I can switch this one across as well, but I'll just get it back up to finding like the full strength again. And I still have this one which I can make use of. Actually, that one can get right into there and do damage. Oh, and that does show us where this artillery got to. Yeah, it's sort of tempting, but I think I'll go for the kill here. Got it. Surrendered. That's excellent. This one is surrounded, which we may get the kill here. I'm going to move off. The reason is because of this one here. That one doesn't have its attack anymore. I can't get close enough to it. It's down to 1, so it's almost gone. Actually, no, we can't use these as well. These have now also done what they have to do. So I'll just keep this one's entrenching all the time. Which I do want to keep this one here. This is an anchor point for us, an important anchor point. That's all okay where that is. That's all fine. I do have attacks against this, but I'm thinking actually I do have attacks against that one as well. I might just block the road. So this is so I can operate in this main area of the desert. Okay, let's have a look and see if we've missed anything. We've got this one that can still move but can't shoot. So I will keep this one with the pressure on. Oh, that's encircled now. Move back out. We want to make sure we keep the supply going. That one I'm just going to keep there as support. Like I'm happy with where that one actually is. It's entrenched at 3 at this stage. That one is fine as well. And that one, that's a good position for this one to start to entrench into as well. So I'll just keep them where they all are. And we'll end our turn there. Yep, so lost a little bit there. And they're back. So we have to get rid of that one there. Okay, so we're now sort of seeing the main attack starting to come through. Our aircraft is now ready to go. We should be able to take out. This is the Falco, which is the fighter there, and then we have the tactical bomber there. So we want to get rid of its air support straight away. So let's just now go across and deal with that one. And again, we want multiple. Mass attack going in. Lost 2. Come on, kill her off. Got it, great. Okay, that gets rid of a major unit, like from their side. We need to now get this one back up into the top here, and we then need to protect all of this. So I'm going to move that one across. I want this one to stay where it is, but to get replacements, I'll get elite replacements in here. One still won't be able to do anything until it's actually in position. I can move it across into here. We can't do it. We don't get a shot this turn, but next turn we're going to be able to then start to put pressure on this one over here. And that way we'll end up with just a couple of units there just to block that off, and so that will end up being quite a strong little group. We do actually still have the engineers here as well, which can be used to help to embed these. We also have this which we have to get rid of. Like we really have to now destroy this. Now this is technically a soft target, I think. Target type is soft, yeah. Might as well sort of butter it up. Suppressing it as... Oh, it actually got 2 kills. That's actually good stuff. Oh, sorry, no, this is suppression. So it's down to 8, but it's been suppressed at 4. So it means that it's actually now going to be much, much weaker. in terms of what it can then go and do. Yeah, so we end up with another kill. No, it kills us there. That's another 4. Let's go and push it. Still got 4 there. It's basically dead. Got it. Okay, that's good. So we're not embedding. These aren't doing what we want them to do. But we're trying to entrench them. Like these guys here will eventually entrench. Hopefully over time. Yep, so maximum entrenchment is 8. Current entrenchment is 3. Entrenchment is acute. Yeah, so we end up with different bonuses with the entrenchment. They've done a good job with the tooltips, I've got to say, in this game. So that's all looking good. This unit is struggling, so we want to now bring it back into safety. And then I could get replacements, but in this case, I need to open this up now and allow them to do what they're going to do. That there is dunes. So more high ground. Just sort of slowly work our way up this way as well. So they could be sneaking through here for all we know. Careful with this. Yeah, that's too dangerous for us over there. Well, let's draw them in. So we'll bring our Morris back. That hopefully will be okay. I want to put pressure on this unit here. This one is struggling. It's only just got its replacements in. That's good. Yeah, so it's down to 7 with some suppression as well. Okay, and we can't. Oh, we can move that one off after we did that one. So let's go and move that one down as well, just to again just put a little bit of pressure down this way. To stop this, I'm sort of more worried now about the advance coming in towards Musaid. They've taken this town, of course, Et Tafud, back up through there. Again, not a town that I'm familiar with. Let's just see who we've still got. This one here. Now this, I will actually just go and get replacements for this. These are going to be useful against these tanks, ultimately. Can't move them anywhere. If they're next to the anti-tank, it does help. Okay, let's keep on going back through the units. I'll keep that one back there. That one's entrenching, which is good. That one should be entrenching. That one's not either. That one's okay. Yep, okay, everyone's there, so we'll end our turn there. Yeah, so they're going into the dunes. So we have to be careful of these. Alright, so now we have pretty much the opportunity to start to wipe out. Is this the Falco? No, this is the other one. They've got another one as well. So they've got one more tactical bomber. I think they have. No, the Falco is a fighter. Ooh, it's down to 2, so it's going to have to repair. We do actually have abilities in here. We sort of want to start to entrench. Now this is where this guy is going to be super useful. If I move him over this side, he'll at least help these guys retrench, and then we can come back the other side. But it looks like their main attack is now going to be coming back this other way. So we're entrenched at 0 at this point in time, and it is in the dunes. Morris there, which has only got 6. This one to be have elite replacements, so let's just go and get that one up. It cost us a little bit to get that one, and it didn't go all the way up. These here, so we have a few different attacks. That was suppression. We don't have anything there just yet. Until we can get more suppression. I really need to get these replaced. That will severely weaken this one. That one back in. If they do run through the gauntlet here a little bit, we'll at least be able to sort of stop them in through here. So they shouldn't be able to get too much further than this. That will then give us support back that way. Start to get damage this way. Just makes it a bit easier for us. I think I'm going to wait. This one here is still has its attack actually. Yeah, look, I might as well bring this one across in that case. Okay, that just weakens their units a lot, which is important. This one can't have its attack just yet, so I'll just keep that one back where it is. Or maybe even just move it up a little bit, just to, again, to put pressure on that front line, just away from these dunes where we're going to ultimately end up with other units. Be able to switch these around a little bit. Bring these down into this position. Looks like the main attack is going to come more this side, so let's move them down. They're not really entrenching anyway. We'll move the heavy weapons across to there. Move these, shuffle these across into this position. Okay, that will be a nice, very, very secure grouping that we end up having there. So I think that's everything for this turn. So that one's still... Let's just go and get the replacements. Ooh, I can actually do a lot of damage there. Where can that one get to? That one can get... It's sort of in behind us. If I do move up... We certainly have strength here. It's an anti-tank gun. Look, we might as well take it. Got it, great. So it surrendered as well. allows us to, we'll be able to move back again next turn. So we're doing well at this stage. Yep, that's all we've got left. We'll end our turn there. It did get further than I thought it would. Wasn't expecting it to get into there. Well, we have to get rid of this one. What do we have that we can do it? Now, I'm looking at the time. I'm actually, no, I think we're going to get a conclusion here just based on the amount of time I'm taking. I hope that what I've done is sort of shown how the game works, like in terms of just Panzer Corp 2 itself, but also done enough to sort of show like the special little units that we sort of are seeing, like these Moto Guzzi Trialces. Italian motorbikes with machine guns on the back. It's just really cool, and I've got to say, I love the idea of the long range desert group being like this, and again being able to sort of switch it back into its LRDG actual contingent. I really love this idea. I would hope that at some point that these get taken through to the actual random maps. Because I love this sort of stuff. All right, so anyway, I will actually leave it here because this is already now becoming too long. I thought I'd be able to actually finish off the scenario within a reasonable time, but I just spent way too long talking about things, and I do have to actually process it and get this video up. So I will actually leave it here, guys. I hope that this is enough to whet your appetite if you like these sort of games. And again, I can always just squeeze back out again to have a good look at the strategic situation. You can see there the units that have moved, etc. Like, you know, or sorry, we've got firing that they could do. It sort of is showing lots of different bits and pieces in here as well. So I will leave it there. So thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. And again, there's the link down below in the description if you are interested in the game at all. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.